Over the last few years, I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people start and grow their own Amazon FBA business. Some of those people went on to make 6- and 7-figure businesses, and other people went on to never make their first dollar. In this video, I'm gonna go over 5 of the most common things that I've seen that usually lead to failure. And these things are so clear that if I see a client who's already showing signs of this, chances are they're not gonna make this business happen if they continue to do this and don't solve these problems. Number 1 on this list is incredibly common, and I actually fell victim to this as well at the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. You see, back when I first heard about selling on Amazon, I was actually still working in law enforcement. And I remember on one of my days off, I was listening to a couple of YouTube videos while I was washing my car. And this video about how to make money online popped up. And it gave a very, very surface level explanation of Amazon FBA. And this was very early on, right before the boom of Amazon FBA. But even then, having no experience whatsoever with business, making money online, or anything like that, I was absolutely blown away by the business model because I saw massive, massive potential. I thought to myself, I was like, man, you mean to tell me I don't have to market that product, I don't have to store that product, I don't have to ship that product, and I don't have to deal with customer service? And on top of that, there's this software that's gonna tell me which products to go into and which products to stay away from. I was truly inspired and motivated to pursue that business model. So what did I do next? Did I run inside, do hours upon hours of research, learn everything that I needed, and then place my first order and start making money? No. Not at all. You see, I kept all of that motivation and all of that inspiration that I initially felt, and instead of going and implementing and taking action on it, I put it off. I waited. I wasn't waiting for the perfect time. I just wasn't prioritizing it. So although at this time, I found the Amazon FBA business model at the absolute perfect time, I didn't start selling on Amazon until 2 years later. I didn't realize it at the time, but I fell victim to the law of diminishing intent. The law of diminishing intent states that the longer you wait to do something that you should do now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. So the likelihood of you capitalizing on an opportunity diminishes over time the further and further away you get from that initial moment of inspiration. And on top of that, your confidence is also going to take a hit that this is even a possibility for you to accomplish. This is an insanely common problem that I've seen time and time again. People find the business model. They get really hyped and motivated on building this business on Amazon. Maybe they invest in a course or they invest in a mentor, and then crickets, nothing. Maybe they never even log into the course, or maybe they only watch one lesson. They keep telling themselves that they're gonna wait until they have some time off from work or summer break or when the stars align, whatever it is that they're telling themselves. But what they fail to see is that they're falling victim to the law of diminishing intent. And the more and more that they put this off, this thing that they actually want to do, the less and less likely that they will ever actually do it. If this is something that you truly want to do, you have to end that internal negotiation that you have going on with yourself. If not, you're gonna be stuck in the same place, and this business will never take off. Now, problem number 2, I think, is due to a lot of the marketing in this space. You think it's gonna be easy, so you underestimate the amount of work that it actually takes to start this business or any business that you go into. This is an incredibly common belief held by the average person that goes into any business, not just Amazon. For some reason, they think that this will be easy. Even if other people are saying that there's gonna be work required, they still in their minds, they go into it thinking that it's gonna be easy for them, that by tomorrow, they're gonna have everything figured out and money will just come. Those are the expectations that they go into when they dive into this business. So when you go into anything with that belief that it's going to be so easy, you're going into it with this expectation that everything is going to be sunshine and roses. So when that storm hits, the obstacles hits, the adversity hits, the inevitable obstacles hit, you crumble because you're not mentally prepared for those obstacles that are going to come your way. Because it's not if those obstacles are going to come your way, it's when those obstacles are going to come your way, because that happens to everybody. Now, I'm not saying to have no self-belief or a lack of confidence when you're going into this business. That's not all what I'm saying. I'm just saying prepare your mind for the path ahead, because the path ahead is going to be filled with obstacles. It's going to be filled with wins, and it's going to be filled with losses. You're going to have moments where you're so incredibly frustrated and your self-talk is getting away from you. And you're going to start to think to yourself, man, can this even be done? But above all of those beliefs, you have to have the rock solid belief that you can actually figure this out. Where most people have failed, if you are persistent enough, that you can figure it out. And these obstacles are gonna be unique to everybody. Maybe your obstacle is gonna be finding suppliers. Maybe your obstacle is gonna be getting on the phone. Maybe your obstacle is gonna be just overcoming your procrastination. But I can't tell you how many times people have come to me after 1 week of trying to make this business work, and they tell me, man, I can't find any profitable suppliers. And I always ask them, how many have you contacted? And so many people have said, Less than 10. If this business was as simple as you go in, you contact one supplier, you scan one list, and your whole business is made, everyone would be making money. But that's not how things work. If you think like this, you've contacted 10 suppliers and you're already telling yourself this business doesn't work. You're going into it with this exact mentality that leads to failure more often than not. Guys, in my opinion, Amazon FBA is the simplest business model that you can get into today, right now, and actually make successful and actually make some money. Specifically wholesale and arbitrage. You don't have to worry about marketing your business. You don't have to worry about marketing your products. You don't have to worry about getting traffic. You don't have to worry about building websites. There's not a massive steep learning curve. There is a learning curve. Like anything, you're gonna have to learn how everything works, but it's not nearly as steep as some of these other business models where you're gonna have to learn marketing, you're gonna have to learn copywriting, you're gonna have to learn how to get traffic and get customers. Not nearly as complicated. You don't have to do any of those things. But because it's so simple, a lot of people think that because it's simple, it's gonna be easy. And that's not the case whatsoever. It's gonna require real work for you to make it work. Now, number 3 is summed up perfectly by this story called the 20-mile march. Now, we have 2 teams that are trying to hike their way to the South Pole. One team trying to beat the other, obviously. And team A tells themselves and tells everybody in their team, we are going to hike 20 miles, rain or shine, regardless of weather, regardless if we're tired, regardless of circumstance. We're going to hike 20 miles every single day. No more and no less. Team B, on the other hand, takes a very different approach. They're more sporadic. They feel great one day. Weather is perfect. Everything is perfect. So they hike 40 miles, maybe 50 miles. But then the next day they're too tired. So then they hike no miles. Then the next day the weather is terrible. So they maybe hike 5 miles. And the cycle repeats. But on the other hand, Team A is just consistently cranking out 20 miles every single day. So because of Team A's clear, deliberate, and consistent plan and work ethic, they're able to reach the South Pole 35 days before Team B with no casualties whatsoever. Consistency isn't about doing everything all at once or doing the most that you can 1, 2, or even 3 times per week. Consistency is about doing the 20% of the work that's going to yield the 80% of the results and doing it on a consistent daily basis. So a big mistake that a lot of people make is that they show up, let's say Monday morning. Circumstances are perfect. The weather's perfect. They feel fully rested, fully motivated. They work 12 hours in their business that day. But the rest of the week, they're all over the place. Maybe they get a little work done. Maybe they don't get any work done. Maybe they get lazy. Maybe they procrastinate. Maybe they take the day off completely. How far do you think you're actually going to go if you're realistically just doing these extreme efforts 1 time per week or in these occasional moments instead of consistently showing up every single day? I think most people show up to create an online business with the mentality of let me just get rich really quick. So that leads them to working extremely hard 1 or 2 days out of the week. And then they fall off because they realize how much more work it's going to be. You have to realize with Amazon, it doesn't matter if you're scanning books, doesn't matter if you're doing arbitrage, doesn't matter if you're doing wholesale, it doesn't matter if you're doing private label. All forms of selling on Amazon, they all work. What you need to do is that you need to figure out, what do I need to do every single day that I can sustain? What can I do consistently over time that will yield the results that I actually want to get? But if you're all over the place, you're working really hard one day, then the 6 other days you're lazy, you're procrastinating, you're taking those days off, you will always lose compared to the person who's showing up and focusing on working the 20% that will yield the 80% of the results, and they're showing up every single day. Consistency compounded over time will always beat the occasional extreme efforts. Now, I'm a big believer in investing in the right coaches and courses to really time collapse your learning curve and avoid all of those costly mistakes that somebody else has already made, and they can teach you how to avoid them. With that being said, in the early stages of me getting into trying to make a business work, I got caught up in the trap of believing that the secret to my success was in this next course that I was going to buy, was in this next mentor that I was going to hire, was in this next program that I was going to be a part of, or this next business model that I was going to pursue. So that led me into investing into courses and coaches for Amazon, affiliate marketing, SEO, building websites, copywriting, all of these different models. And as I was going through these courses and I was just trying to make something work, I spent countless hours, tons of money, just trying to find the secret that would lead me to all of the success that I wanted. And then when I would see other people that were having results in this exact same course, in this exact same business model that I was pursuing, but I wasn't. I would start to think to myself, I was like, man, maybe it's me. Like maybe something's wrong with me, or maybe I'm just not good enough, or maybe I just can't make it work. So the more and more that I did this, the more and more I felt like a failure. And in that moment, when I was really down, I realized two things. I realized what the problem was. The problem was me. And the second thing I realized was that the secret that I was looking for in those courses, in those coaches, in those programs, the secret that I was looking for was also me. How could I possibly think that I was going to go and make any of these programs successful when I realistically was jumping around all over the place? I was habitually constructing a person who is always thinking that the solution to their problems is found around the corner, in that next opportunity, in that next business model, that next coach. Courses are very necessary. Coaching is very necessary in my opinion if you want to speed up your learning curve. If you think that coaches and courses aren't valuable, you're out of your mind, because you're going to stay stuck learning the same thing that somebody has already learned, and it's going to take you so much longer than if you just invest a little bit into time collapsing your learning curve. With that being said, once you have a proven course in whatever business model that you want to pursue, whether it's arbitrage, whether it's wholesale, whether it's private label, doesn't matter. As long as you have a proven blueprint, the only secret that you need to tap into is commitment, belief, and persistence, which leads into mistake number 5. The people that lack a high level of persistence will always fail. Guys, there's times in your business, especially in the beginning, where you're gonna hit some moments where you just don't think that you can make it work, where you're so incredibly frustrated. You've exhausted all options. You're at a complete loss. You don't know what you're doing wrong. You don't know why this isn't working. You're very, very close to believing that this doesn't work, that you can't make this work. I've been in those moments many, many times, especially in the beginning. I've been in those moments where I've felt like I've contacted countless suppliers, scanned countless lists with nothing to show for it. When you get into those moments are where most people will just give up. They'll just throw in the towel and they'll call it quits and they'll move on with their life. That is what the average person will do. So when you find yourself in one of those moments, this internal state of loss, frustration, fear, you're operating from this low frequency state, which is all of those emotions. And when you're operating from a low frequency state, you cannot see how things are going to work out. You can only see how things are not going to work out, because that's the level of consciousness that you're operating from. What you need to do in those moments is you need to take a step back. You need to shift your focus. Go for a walk, get a workout in, go spend time with your kids. Just get away from the business altogether for a couple of hours. Shift your focus and come back refreshed mentally and physically, because once you do that, your frequency is going to raise. You have detached yourself from the situation, and when that frequency raises, and now let's say you're operating at a high frequency, you see all of the opportunities, you see all of the ways that this business is going to work. Think about it like this. Let's say you're trying to make this business work, and you get to the point where you have massive worry, massive self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of judgment, all of this negative self-talk about how this is not going to work out for you, all of this negative worry about how this is not going to work out for you. That is known as a low frequency state. But then think back to moments where you get a massive win. You've tried really hard, you've contacted so many suppliers, or you've scanned so many lists, or you've looked for so many products, and you finally get a massive win. When you get that massive win, you can only see all of the ways that it will work out. And it's because you're operating from this higher frequency. You're not operating from fear. You're not operating from frustration. You're not operating from a state of loss, worry, self-doubt. You're operating from abundance, gratitude, presence. So take a step back when you have those moments. Don't sit in those moments because you're not going to find the solution. Come back a couple hours later. This is what I've always done from day one, and every single time I always figure it out. It has helped me massively, and it will help you as well. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you have ran into any of these problems, let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you guys in that next video.